Welcome to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki C., all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, here with another amazing, a beautiful guest. I can't wait for you to meet her. But before we get into the show today, we are going to say thank you to our sponsors, our lead sponsor, Carolyn Bob Breed, with Training You to Succeed. Thank you so much for your support. As always, just building leaders globally together. I'm super excited about our other authors, our other sponsors as well, which we have Top Fox, Ladies of Leadership, and Julian Noah with a Breathe Capital Planning. So I am super excited. I met this beautiful soul through one of our authors in our Ladies of Leadership, Me Versus Me. Excuse me, I do have a little cold today, so I am trying not to cough, so I might get muted. And because this is the true, authentic, organic, hot show, which is honest, open, and transparent, we are going to continue moving through. So prayers for me that we can get through this. But we have Michaela Winston, who's one of our Me Versus Me authors, recommended that we have our Me Versus Me reviewed from a well-known publisher, and we are excited to have her here. Ginny Davis began her writing journey enchanting young readers with whimsical tales filled with wonder. Now she has turned her talents to the darker side, crafting horror thrillers, tales that grip readers with the suspense and psychological intrigue. Whether it's sparking joy for young minds or sending shivers down spines, Ginny Davis' works captures the imagination. When she's not writing, Ginny enjoys exploring old ghost stories, researching haunted places, and planning her next thriller for her cozy and possibly slightly haunted writing nook. I am so happy to have her on here. Let's welcome Ginny Davis. Hello, love. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well. I hope you get to feeling better soon, but I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
You are so welcome. There's nothing that water cannot help with, and we will definitely get through this. So let's start with how we connected. You had the privilege of reading the Me Versus Me, Overcoming Self-Sabotage, and it did a number on you while you were reading. And first of all, thank you for the review that was placed in our Voices in Print, which is our lady leader Michaela's magazine, that she honored this book, and we celebrated it on November 1st at the Jumbotron in New York City live, where this book was actually pinned on a billboard for 24 hours, but you had the pleasure of reading it before the world did. How was that for you?
Wow, I was so excited. So, I mean, first off, I will say that, this kind of book, self-help, motivational, that's not my normal jam when I'm reading. I love to read, and I normally read the darker stuff. So, I was reading this as the book reviewer for Michaela Winston's magazine, Our Voices in Print. And I was like, I'm just going to read it. I'm sure it'll be good, but it really pulled me in. First off, the idea of having so many different authors in this book tell things from their perspective and what their experiences were through life, where they were and how they were, may have been in some extremely negative spaces, maybe some others not so negative, whether it was an abusive situation or a situation where they felt like they were holding themselves back. That was what really got to me. Like, I never thought about that, holding myself back, getting in the way of myself. And I it really spoke to me. And I was like, I've been doing that. I've been doing that to myself. And we're in the world of writing and the world of art, and sometimes we can be very sensitive souls and really start to have some self-doubt. And for me, when I would fall into that, I would think to myself, should I even be doing this? Maybe I should just stop. And inevitably somebody from out of the blue will call or message me and say, man, I love your story. This is so great. I can't wait to hear more, and just go into incredible detail about what they liked and all these things. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. But I needed to get beyond that and say, I need to do this for myself. And this is what that book did for me, Me Versus Me. It let me know that I'm standing in my way because I'm feeding into the self-doubt and waiting for somebody to pull me out as opposed to me pulling myself out. So it was a great reading experience. I took notes and I was just like, I go back and look at my notes from time to time. And I have to say, since I've read that book, things have changed. There have been some doors that have opened, and just in my perception and the way that I think, things have changed, and I'm really excited about what's next.
Oh my goodness. I am so happy because that's the impact that, when we were creating this project, it first started with just a voice in my head of Me Versus Me. I was just on the verge of launching my first collaboration event with one of my partners. And, there were highs, there were lows, there were everything in between. But how did I play a role in that? What have I stopped myself from kind of going through? And I was taking this message, and I talked to one of our members, and I said, hey, this is in my head. What do you think I should do with it? And they were like, well, you need to write a book about it. And I'm like, well, I mean, I've written so many chapters in these anthologies that I didn't even think, maybe I should put this in an anthology. What do other people think? How can this be a healing process in our journey? And knowing the things we've overcame and just repeating that, because sometimes we forget that we have the power and we have the goods and we have overcame things in the past, but we never took time to really identify, well, what were those things that we took that made it different? So getting women to really open up and share their story was actually what God was really putting together here. So I was glad that, we were able to do that. We were able to get this message out there, and I can't wait till this gets in more people's hands. So I'm super excited, one, that you said, hey, you know what, this is not really my jam, but let me try it. Let me check it out. Let me see, how I can serve, and that you were blessed with, some revelations, and that the doors are opening, because that's what we want this book to do. We want this book to do is to say that, hey, first, you are not alone. You should never be alone through this journey. And there's women that have been there, done that. There's women that are probably still going through that, right? Because that me versus me mentality does not stop once you write the story and you overcome, because you're going to have so many me versus me moments throughout your life. This is really the tool that's going to help you to be reminded of how to overcome those, or to be prepared when those situations arise. So thank you so much for your time, for your review. I can't wait to have the magazine in my hand. And that led to meeting you. That led to meeting you, to getting on a call with you, and just knowing who you are, just as a person, as a woman, as a author, as a publisher, and to see what your vision is, and to see what kind of magic can we make together. It's really awesome that we get these opportunities. So yeah, tell me a little bit more, and tell our audience of who Gina Davis is. Where did it all start? Where did the passion come from? And just what was your day to day, and when did you make that life-changing move to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do what I love?
So yeah, first, congratulations on everything on the book. I'm so excited. I keep I was on the day looking for y'all on Times Square, and I'm like, am I missing it? I kept watching it cycle and cycle. So I want to get with you because I want to see that moment because I'm just blown away by it, and that's just amazing that that this is happening for y'all. So happy for y'all. Who is Ginny Davis, man? Uh, I want to speak to one thing before I get started. And the one thing that I want to speak to with the whole me versus me perception is that I think as women, especially Black women, women of color, we let people tell us at a young age who we can be and who we can't be. And I think that is something that we need to like not examine so much. I mean, and unfortunately, a lot of times it comes from elders and teachers and people who are in our daily lives, and that is something I think that you hear what they're saying, take it in, understand it, but take it with a grain of salt because that was part of the reason why I am where I am. I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to write since I was 11, but there were people in my life that said, "No, how are you going to pay your bills?" And I'm like, "Huh." So so I pushed it to the back burner and I did all these things. I got my degree in business management, I was planning to be an engineer. I wound up in a field that is pretty much close to what I was doing, which is making the workplace comfortable and accessible for people. So that's what I'm pretty much doing right now. But I still wanted to write. I always wanted to write. So um, like maybe 15, 20 years ago, I got an idea for a children's book and I wrote it down and I was like, okay, and I let it sit for about 10 years. And then I got in touch with uh, an illustrator. I actually married into a family of artists. And so my husband's niece illustrated the book for me, and she did such an amazing job that I was like, okay, I can't let this sit anymore. I have to get this published. And I found a book coach because I was like, what's holding me back? Why am I not doing this? And every time I would talk to somebody, they would be like, this is an amazing story. You need to get it out there. What's holding you back? And I'm like, fear, just that fear of not knowing, or should I, or will I succeed? And one day I was just sitting on the couch thinking about it, and the name of a book coach popped up in one of my social media feeds. So I reached out to her and we talked, and she read the book and she was like, okay, so what's happening? What do I need to do? What, you're done. We just need to make some some fine tuning and we can publish. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's what happened. And in August of 2020, I published my first book, my children's book, Ben and the Butterfly, which is about a little boy who is vision impaired and he's trying to learn his colors with the help of a magical butterfly. And so, yeah, that's where it was. And after I got that first book published, it was like a whole new world open to me. I went ahead to write my first horror thriller novel called The Oaks on the Glen. That came out in 2021. It's about a woman living in a haunted apartment complex. It's loosely based on some things that happened to me. And yeah, so I went ahead and published that. And then the next year I did Ben and the Farm, and I kept going from then on, kept on writing. So now I've actually published 9 books. I published 3 this year, which I was not planning to do, but it happened. And yeah, it's been an ongoing rolling train, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop. So I'm really excited, and I'm learning more about publishing, and that's wonderful for me. I'm a person that has to always be growing, always taking in information and growing in knowledge, retaining knowledge and learning more about what I'm doing. That's so important to me. So that's where I am now. Oh, also, uh, my first anthology book called Not Your Everyday Tales. It's on the bestsellers list. And I followed up with a volume 2, which was also on the bestsellers list within the last couple of weeks. And so I'm just like blown away. So just really like, okay, this is it. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Sometimes when you just say yes to yourself and you just do it and you shut off the noise around you, you will surprise yourself. You will surprise yourself with the capabilities and the power that you have within. And this is to you, this is to myself, this is to all the listeners, that none of this happens unless you take that first step. And the first step is removing everybody's opinions and thoughts of what your life should be. And I love that you said earlier on that, you know, a lot of the stuff that we have adopted as our own beliefs are really something that we were just told at a young age, and we believed it. We believed it to be true. But once you start questioning, I'm not saying to be like that child or that person that's going to be like questioning everything, but you do have to, you know, in this world, for anyone who is seeking purpose, really has to dissect those things and ask themselves, is this my belief or is this someone else's belief? Is this something that's going to make me or break me? Or is this something that's going to expand me and just be that thing that we all need to do? And without asking ourselves those questions, we just never know. So let's talk a little bit about the mindset going through the journey. So, you know, what you were told at a very young age, but now you're actually stepping in. And even though you're stepping in and you're taking that leap of courage, there's also some things that continue to block you, which either increases the time to deliver and all those things. So tell me some of the challenging mindsets that you had to face on your journey.
So for me, it was, how do I even do this? You know, I'm like, what do I do? Do I reach out to a publishing company? Once I had the book written, that was my biggest like hurdle, like how, what do I do? And I, you know, had all these misconceptions of, well, you know, you've got to be given a written offer from a publishing company, or you have to reach out to an agent. And I'm just like, really, do I have to do all of this? And finding out that it's much, much, much easier to write as an independent author. Not saying that I would ever turn down an offer from a publishing house or a publishing company, but you don't have to wait on that. You can be an indie author and put out as much work as you want, and it's freeing. You know, you do what you want, as opposed to being beholden to a publishing company or anyone else. So that was my biggest hurdle. It was the how. How do I do this? I want to do it. My passion is there. I feel like I've got a great book, and I'm just, but how? So now that I know, everything is just so much, it's easier. And with the help of social media, you can find any group on any social media platform that can point you in the right direction. I was like, you know, I was like struggling. I'm like, is there anybody else out there that I can talk to for me? And, you know, I saw other authors that were thriller horror authors, and I would, you know, friend them and like their stuff and read their books and, you know, give reviews. And then one of them was like, hey, I think you might want to join this group. And they pulled me into this group, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And there were so many Black women who were going through the same things that I was going through, who had questions and, you know, just were reaching out and saying, hey, well, what if you try this, and giving me ideas and asking me for my input, which was like, I'm new here. You know, so, and, you know, knowing that my opinion and what I'm doing is valued, and even reaching out to me separately and saying, hey, I need some help with this. I'm like, you're asking me? And so, you know, and just going through that and having that sisterhood, that bond, and even knowing that I've have partnerships and friendships with women who are just amazing writers, and their work speaks for themselves. And the fact that they're not known as much as they should have, and it's just like, how is this possible? So yeah,
Mhm.
all of that, having a team behind you, creating a team that supports what you do, And, because you're going to need that as a writer. You need an editor, you need somebody who can publish until you can learn how to publish. You need somebody who can format for you, an illustrator, somebody who can help you push out your marketing tools on all the different social media platforms until you can learn that yourself. So it's so many things, building a website, all those things. It's like, I had to learn to know people and reach out to people. And I was extremely introverted. I still am. So having to change my personality and be more outgoing and reaching out and saying, hey, I need help, and recognizing the fact that, hey, I can't do this. I need help. So being, that truthful and honest with myself has helped me a lot. So yeah, that was the biggest hurdle, was like, how and who can help me. And then being able to help someone else, that just was like, I didn't think that would happen. But yeah, it's an amazing thing. And that's one of my ultimate goals, is I'm not just here to learn, to soak up the knowledge. I want to be able to pass it on to somebody else. So
That's a beautiful
yeah.
thing. And that's what I truly believe in. Like, we can't take this with us when we're gone, right? All of the stuff that we kind of invest in, whether it's something to lead us ahead, or just anything that we consume in our lifetime, whether it's through our experiences, through our investments and things like that, they are all part of the process, part of what's coming next. Like, whatever we consume today doesn't mean that it's going to turn into income tomorrow.
Right.
But when we when we nurture it enough and put those pieces in place, and I love that you said, you know what, let me go seek out those that are doing what I want to do. Let me go get a coach that's going to guide me directly, get a publisher that's going to make this come to life. And that's you building your team. And I want people that are listening to this podcast or watching it, that it doesn't take, like, you don't have to do this by yourself. Like, we can't. There's a team. There's going to be different level of what those team titles look like. And they all become a part of your team because you're paying them to do a service, to teach you a process, or to deliver whatever the end result is. And I love that you did that. And those were the first things that kind of went to your mind, because a lot of solo entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, feel like they have to build it all themselves. Then they get into, especially if they're not tech savvy, right? They go ahead and try to learn these things, get frustrated. And guess what? The project is just like put to the wayside. And we need to normalize the fact that we do need the help, and it's okay to ask, and it's okay to seek, but be discerning along the way. Like, know what you're paying into, ask the right questions, see what their track records are, making sure that you are, investing in things or in people that truly want to see you win, that truly have the creativity to see it beyond what you see it, because that's where we fall short too, is that we see it as this small picture. Then you get this coach and they show you a whole big picture, and you're like, that is exactly what I was missing. So being open to that is all what we need. And I'm glad that you touched on those things. So we're going to go into a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and see what Jen is working on now, how you can get a hold of her, and all that good jazz. We'll be right back.
I am here at Mummers Museum in Philadelphia, celebrating BALM Global's 2nd anniversary celebration. The women who showed up today are leading in their respective industries, and they're ready to not only get inspired, but empower and inspire you.
So from all of the speakers, I have gotten something out of it, not to be stuck and to move forward.
And this just encouraged me to start up again, to take that 15 minutes a day and to make sure that I restart that podcast, that I start writing those chapters for that book, that I get out there and I do what is inside of me, because there's somebody else waiting for me.
I have been a member of Leaders of Leadership for about a year now, and it's been my pleasure to be attending here in the 2-year anniversary with BALM Global, having this amazing group of women and community all together, empowering, inspiring, uplifting, It's been such an amazing experience being here with all this powerhouse. It's just so beautiful, and I'm so blessed that I was part of this group. Together, we empower each other. Thank you.
Hello, we are back with Ginny Davis. We just showcased our last year, 2-year anniversary. We are getting the highlight reel ready for this year's 3-year anniversary that we just celebrated a couple weeks ago. And we're also featuring our BCS commercial, which is Bookkeeping Consulting Services with Yara and Ortiz, who's also a lady leader who helps nonprofit organizations really get their books in order and make sure that they make the impact that they are looking to make in their vision. So, Ginny, we are back. Let's talk about how are we closing up 2025, and what does 2026 look like for you?
So 2025, well, I said from now until January, I was going to stop writing, and I fibbed. I lied to myself. I just released my last book for the year, November 7th, which is Not Your Everyday Tales, Volume 2, which is a book of short stories, a second volume of short stories that touch on social events that are happening, and it's a psychological thriller kind of a book. And so so I was like, I'm just gonna take a rest and not do anything. And then book 3 was calling me, so I've already started. I had a couple of stories already finished for book 3, but now there's another story that's like, yeah, you need to finish me now. So I'm working on that. So for next year, I will be completing book 3. I also did a collaboration with a great, wonderful author named Latrell R. Morris called Dark Days. This is also an anthology book. It takes a dark look at some of the holidays throughout the year, and some stories that, of some things that are not so great that happen during the holidays. So we will be releasing a part 2 for that next year. And I'm going to I've done a Halloween book or a book for fall the past couple of years. So I'm going to do one of those. It'll be an anthology book too, maybe a Halloween kind of book. But I'm also going to do a novel, and I'm not sure what the subject is going to be. I have a couple of ideas. There may be there's some characters in the Not Your Everyday Tales world that I'd like to pull out and write a complete novel for them. And so I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. I'm still writing as a book reviewer for Our Voices in Print, and being active in the independent thriller author writer community. Got a couple of book events that I will be attending. One will be here in Smyrna, Tennessee in March, and the other will be here in October. But I'm looking to do at least one more. I'm not sure where yet, but it'll be probably in August or so. But yeah, that's what's going on. It's still a very busy year planned.
Yes, and I love it that it's already planned. Like, we don't wait until we get into the year to figure out what our year is going to look like. When you can pre-plan that, it makes it so much easier. If you put it on paper, you set a date to it, you work towards it. It's just a clearer vision. You're not at the last moment trying to pull your hairs out. For me, a little bit of white hairs. But yeah, that's the way to do it. Definitely just shared our 2026 calendar with our community because it's important. It's important that if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have something that has been tugging at your heart, that means it's time to move. That means it's time to put it in place. And if you don't know what direction you're going in, definitely connect with someone. So how many communities are you a part of? And like, what is your biggest, what is the biggest appreciation you have for community?
So I would say the majority of the communities that I've connected with are on Facebook, with a lot of women writers and readers, because I read a lot, fiction writers and horror authors and thriller authors, and a little bit of romance, but just anything that I see on Facebook or even on TikTok. I'm really am much more active on TikTok, but you get more community on Facebook, for me. And so just finding those with like minds, or we call each other psychos, connecting with those people, and and sharing thoughts. It's a really great community, and I enjoy talking to these women every day and hearing their insights. I'm seeing more men, especially Black men, entering into this line of writing, the horror thriller author community, and I'm loving it because I love hearing stories from their take, from their side, and it's just been a really great thing, and I want to see more of it. So I like connecting with them, seeing what they've got going on, and even them asking me questions. I'm like, what, me? And so, and visualizing their work and seeing where their work is going. I connected with a young man on TikTok, and I was reading his book, and I was like, this is a really good story, but I could see it more as a comic book. And I told him that, and he was like, I thought about that. And I was like, well, why didn't you do that? This is great. You should, do this as a comic book. I really think it would stand out a lot more, because I was literally visualizing his work, and I could see it, and I'm like, it would be great to see that as, a comic book. And so I think he's going to look into that. I hope he is, because I can't wait to see that in that format. But yeah, it's been such a great and uplifting experience. And having people say, even when I'm like, I don't know about this, and they're like, no, you're good. Just do this. Or, even the smallest corrections. I know I say I'm an artist and we can get really sensitive, but the truth of the matter is that when you're reading my work and you're like, I'm not feeling it, I want to know. So don't necessarily give me a 1-star review, but reach out to me on email and say, Jenny, or on any social media platform, and just say, hey, I read this, but I wanted this. And it's like, okay, I hear you. I can do that. And, or if I can, I'm like, I don't know about that. And, just kind of work around that, or be broader in my scope of what I can and can't do. So, and then what I hear from a lot of times is that I enjoyed this story, but I want more. And I'm like, okay, I can give you more. So that I can
yes,
do.
you always want them wanting more.
Right. Exactly. I can give you more. And, just the style in which I write. And as writers, we're always going to be evolving. Our style is going to change, because we can't stay in that same voice, that same writing voice, or it's going to become stale. So you have to always kind of reinvent yourself and change your style. So I'm looking forward to that. I feel like my style is still kind of new, but I am little by little changing how I write. So it's going to be an interesting year next year in how I write, my writing style, the challenges, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really embracing it all.
I am so excited for you. We have your website scrolling right here at the bottom, booksbyjennydavis.com. Definitely check that out. See if that's your jam, definitely connect. Or if you know someone that's their jam, don't keep it to yourself. Share it as well. What advice would you give to someone that's kind of still has their book in their belly, right? They haven't birthed it yet. They're kind of thinking, where do I go with this? What are the first few tips you would give them?
I would say, first off, find a book coach. If you feel that your story is compelling and it will touch somebody, even if you think it'll only touch one person, write it. Write that book. Reach out on any social media platform, ask for book coach. For a book coach, you can even go to like Fiverr or other places. Ask for what do you call them? Beta readers. You can. I wouldn't say so much go to your friends unless you have a friend that is actually dead honest with you, who will tell you the truth no matter what. Then I would say give it to that person. And like I said, it can be kind of like, I don't know what this person is going to think. Are they really going to just rip my book to shreds? But find somebody who is not maybe so tied to you, who is independent of the situation, and have them read it and give you their thoughts on it. And you can find beta readers on Fiverr, on like I said, Facebook. I keep mentioning social media, but you can find them anywhere, and they will read that book for you and say, hey, this is what I think. And you can even put it out there just on Facebook and say, hey, I'm looking for beta readers. This is the kind of book, and people will respond. So that's number one. And then secondly, I would say this. It is so important that if you have a story to tell it. I see all kinds of stories out there. And one that caught my eye, which I had never thought of, and it touched me so much. This man wrote a book, a children's book about vitiligo. And y'all know vitiligo is the disease that removes the pigment from your skin. And he wrote this book, and I was like, that's amazing. I'm sure there are children out there that needed to hear this story and needed to know, how to deal with that, what other people are going through with it, and how to live their lives with vitiligo. And I'm like, it's nothing wrong with it. They're beautiful children, but just the fact that, it's out there in writing, and with pictures and showing that, hey, I'm a kid, this is what I'm going through. Here's something, if my message I can put out to the world. Loved it. So just that, that everyone has a story to tell, and, somebody needs to hear it. So
absolutely. How inspiring is that? Taking something that could be twisted in so many ways, and just having the courage to say, hey, this is me. This is what this is about. This is me putting this information out there, and for people to understand what this is, right?
right.
It's just such a beautiful thing. Like I'm just speechless with that, just with that testimony. And I love that. Truly, it inspires me that when someone really shuts off the noise and said, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to do it well. And I'm going to do it well. And that's what life is about. It's really taking those ideas, turning it into something. And guess what? It can potentially turn into income. You can monetize it, right? There's nothing wrong with that, because we're all trying to survive in this world and really make purposeful things and be able to be compensated for our time. But just do it. If it's just for an impact, then great. If it's for a transformation, even better, right? There are so many levels to why people publish or why they put their stories on paper. And people sometimes think that publishing a hardcover book on Amazon is publishing. No, there's ebooks, there's guides, anything that's in written form that's put on a document is a published document. Right. And the stories don't have to be 450 pages. This is our Taking Off the Shades book. And this was almost 400 pages. But they don't have to be that. They could be a small pocket-sized book that's going to change someone's life in some way, shape, or form, that they can put in their purse, put in their back pocket. And now they have the tools. And if you have that, publish it. Put it out there. Connect with Ginny. She took what someone said once upon a time and totally changed that for herself and her life. And you're probably just getting started, Ginny. And I'm so happy that, we get to connect and that now we're in community. And I can't wait to tap into what you're doing and what other things that this connection could bring out, because that's really what it's about. It's creating community along the way through your writing. If you're a singer, it's through your music. If you're in a band, it's through your how you play, right? If it's through a community as a leader, All of this matters and all of it's needed for our life.
Right.
So how can people get a hold of you? Like, what are the best ways? I know we have your link here. You said we can get you on TikTok. So tell us a little bit about the other platforms that they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on TikTok under Books by Ginny Davis. You can email me at booksbyginnydavis@gmail.com. I'm also on TikTok, or I think I mentioned that, I'm sorry. I'm also on Facebook as Ginny Davis, so, and YouTube as well, just Books by Ginny Davis. So yeah, hopefully it should be pretty easy to find me, but yeah. If not, you can sign up for my as a member of my website. I don't have a newsletter, but you can leave me messages there as well. So yeah, I am really excited. And you're right, there are so many different platforms that you can get books from. You can audiobooks. I really want to get into that next. Also, it's just so funny that you mentioned that too. I wrote a book for women, Black women, women of color, about reading, because reading is so much more than just us reading the news, that we need to take out time and read for pleasure, read for relaxation, and the different ways of doing that, and finding time and finding space to do that. So that book is also listed on my website. And we just need to pull back for a minute, step away from the world and just do our own thing and do things that we like to do, whether it's reading, whether it's writing, whether it's traveling, whatever you want to do, just to make sure that we ensure our personal growth and our mental health is at the best level that it can be at, especially around these times. So yeah, that is
I hear you. Amen to that. Absolutely. I think that when we tap into like that moment, I really believe that there's enough time to get 10 minutes in a day on one book, whether it's a professional development book, whether it's your leisure book, whether it's your feel-good book, that we are intentional about that. Because remember, what we put in matters. And if we're putting in that's not serving us, then we have the power to switch that that lifestyle, that habit. And I that's a great point. I can't wait to go on there and get that one. Like, where should I be at? What type of things should I add into my day? And literally 10 minutes, like right before you get out of bed, just have that book next to you, pop it up, get your day started. We have to be purposeful when we're living life and really trying to create something beautiful. And we're going to have listeners that probably have no desire to run a business, write a book, but it's going to inspire you to do something. So, right. Ginny, what do you want to leave our audience with today? Give us your final words of inspiration.
I would say that for everybody, whatever dream you're chasing, chase it. Chase it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. What's the worst that can happen? That, that you might fail, but failure is a part of learning. We fall, we get up, and I don't even consider it failing. I try to consider it as a learning experience. Things didn't go the way that I wanted them to. Let's change it up, see if I can make it work a different way. And if it's something that's truly not for me, and I'm seeing that it's not for me, okay, let's redirect. Let's figure out a new path. Let's figure out something else that I can bring into myself and offer to the world at the same time. So yeah, whatever it is, whatever somebody told you as a little kid, or whatever people around you are saying, if you feel it in your heart that this is your passion and you want to explore it, go for it. Don't let anybody hold you back.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing, and I don't know why it just popped into my head, and there's something stirring up in there because this is what usually happens when you're in conversation, is that what we were taught was that we were on a grading scale, right? A, B, C, D, F, right? F for failure, all that good stuff. And life is really not realistic like that, right? F is really for, it's not failure. I need to find a word for what it's for, or because I love acronyms, and I'm gonna put a word to each of these letters, and we're gonna create a new grading system. Yeah. I promise you, and I'm gonna share it with you, Ginny, because something's like really stirring up about this topic. but they're actually lessons learned. Like, how can we really teach on something if you don't know where the pitfalls are, if you don't know
Right.
what works and what doesn't? Because that's really what we're doing. We are experimenting with our visions and missions and all these things, right? And we're taking analysis, we're gathering data, we are figuring out what works for us and what makes sense, not just for our future, but just what taps into our personalities, what taps into our core values. Like, all of those things are a part of our experiences. So you're not failing. You're failing if you don't try. If you don't even
Right.
start, that's when I feel like you fail, because you've given up at that point, right? And not even that. Maybe it's just not your time, and you need to seek out amazing individuals to be in your circle, like Ginny, that's going to empower you, inspire you, and give you that nudge to say, hey, just go for it. What's the worst that could happen? That you get a couple no's, but that 45th yes is the one that you needed. That is
Right.
okay. That is
Right.
exactly what you look for. Jenny, you have been a pleasure to interview. Thank you so much for joining the BALM Global podcast family. We are so happy to have you on. And we'll actually be celebrating you very, very soon, because we're about to hit our 200th interviewed episode. And we're going to close out the year with a 5-day live. I don't know what week it is, because we have a few more to record to close that gap. And we will be celebrating you in a couple weeks.
Oh, that is so exciting. I can't wait. I can't
Yes, and
wait.
that will
Thank
be
you.
live broadcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So look out for that. Thank you so much for blessing this podcast, for blessing those listeners. You have really moved me. Just continue to inspire me, and just kind of giving me those reminders of, you know, what are the struggles and the mindsets that still happen as an adult, even when you're in the trenches of doing it. You have been a pleasure. I am so happy. Thank you so much publicly, Michaela, who's an awesome lady leader and our Voices of Print, continuing to support her journey. And it has been a pleasure. So thank you all for listening to another episode of Building a Leadership Mindset. Make sure you connect with Ginny, booksbyginnydavis.com. Find her on TikTok, Facebook, and everywhere else. Have an amazing day. And as I always say, make it count. Bye, everyone.
Bye.